Jennifer Allen, welcome to the Tee Off. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm super excited to be here.
So, been a huge couple of years, really. We've been following you pretty closely. You're one of our favorite pros to sort of watch.
Aw.
One of the most recent sort of bits of announcement that we saw, though, is that you've just announced you've got another 2-year contract extension with Innova. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. It's pretty much what I've thrown my entire career. I really honestly couldn't imagine ever throwing anything else. So yeah, very happy to continue to work with them.
We have seen like there's been a little bit of movement over this off season.
Awesome.
But yeah, what sort of makes you keep coming back to Innova?
They've always supported me with my career personally. So I look at it just as a personal standpoint. They've supported me when I was working with healthcare and taking, not playing as much if I needed, to take off or anything with my kids. So they've always just supported me on how much or little I could play at that time. I love teaching in the school systems. So they've always done everything to get me what I need to get into the schools and help teach disc golf and spread the game that way. So they've been great.
That's awesome. How often do you get to go and do some school clinics and stuff?
Kind of this time of year, the last few years, because other than that, I kind of get out of here. So I actually just did a junior high on Monday. And of course, it was cold here, which is not really supposed to be cold, but we were even dipped below freezing. So it's like one of our coldest winters in a while. And so it was all day outside with junior high kids, which to me is very stressful. I absolutely love working with elementary kids because you could just see like the love and the light in their eye when they watch, a Frisbee fly. And junior high kids get pretty cool and impressed as well. But it's just different. They're too busy trying to impress each other. So it's a little more pressure, I feel like, to teach them. So. Yeah. But hopefully able to do a few more things with that this year. I had a few ideas that I'd like to work on. So it's definitely a passion of mine that I always want to keep going back to.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been pretty cool if I was in high school and Jennifer Allen rocked up throwing 160-meter drives. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, the baseball coach definitely came over to watch every time I threw because it's just, even I would say male athlete, right? They can throw footballs far, they throw baseball far, but nothing will fly further than a Frisbee. And so you take this, a grown man athlete, doesn't matter whatever, and they see something that, they know how hard it is to make something fly far, right? Yeah. How much effort that takes. And so to see something fly, a couple of football fields, it makes them stop and appreciate. Yeah. So it's really fun.
And it's not solely based on strength. It's all technique, which I'm sure that they can appreciate. So
absolutely
would be very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the off season. How
not really.
not really. But are you doing what's sort of the training routine? You've talked about doing the clinics and schools and stuff, but you personally, what have you been up to?
So I actually played my first A Tour of the year last weekend.
Oh, awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I had a couple of 1,000 rated rounds. So it was a great start. I had, as soon as I left Australia, came back, clearly went to Oklahoma to spend some time with my mom. And then we had the holidays here. So came home and then went back to Oklahoma to spend a couple of weeks more helping take care of her. And so by the time I got back after the holidays and the kids getting back into school, I mean, I really felt like I had just like 2 weeks to practice. And so I work out pretty much every day, just general strength training, shoulder, rotator cuff, abs, your core, legs and hips, really trying to keep my hips strong. So a little bit of that, walking a couple of miles a day is a goal if it's warm.
Yeah.
And then I just really spent the last 2 weeks out at our local course, which is where we had our tournament this last weekend. So put in a ton of practice there, and it paid off, and really shot very well to start the season. So I hope that's something I can build on, not like that was like one and done for the year.
Yeah.
I want to really build on that because I still left, had some mistakes, bad, choices and decisions on a couple of shots, not trusting myself or the wind, and then not committing and making, all those putts I wanted to make. So I left some out there. So that being said, shooting 1,000 rated, that was really good for me. I feel like to motivate that you've got to keep working hard and you can keep getting better. So
yeah,
it's exciting.
Do you find that you have a combination, like, so post tournament, you've obviously reflected a little bit. Do you find that you will look at specific things to go and work on for the next tournament, or do you kind of just keep it sort of general? Is it like maybe your 30-meter up shots weren't amazing, we'll go and work on that? Like how do you sort of break it down after a tournament and then put it into practice?
I clearly putting is always something I want to and need to continue to build confidence with. I'm a great putter, and that's what's really frustrating to me is when it's just like everybody else. I'm not alone with that. When you putt at home or practice and you miss a couple putts in an hour and you get on the course and it just that hair of hesitation or doubt, will really make you miss a lot of putts. And so overcoming that, knowing that I need to continue to put the reps no matter what, no matter if I make every one of them or not, you have to build that confidence to where you get out there. I hope that it's second nature and there is no doubt, there's no more hesitation. So that's a huge goal of mine for this year. And then I'm really just wanting to dial in my shots. So I started just randomly when I took my son out to the field. I always, have my little setup and cones and stuff, but I randomly put the cones out and realized that, I really wanted to dial in my upshots because, take that pressure off putting if your upshots are close, right? And so I marked out cones 100, 150, 200, 250, and 300 feet, and practice with different disc and different shots, forehand, backhand, and really just trying to hit that cone, literally dial in the bullseye on my accuracy for upshots. And so I think that's something I wanted to continue to work on. I have about 2 weeks off until my next A-tier here in Arizona. And then I believe, I'm trying to get the order right. I believe I go out to California for an A-tier, and then I was asked to join the Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Stars down in Tucson. Cool. So I'll be heading down for that. Super excited. And then it's a blink of an eye, and our first Elite Series at Las Vegas will be here before in a month. Yeah. So it's no true off season here.
Yeah, no rest for the wicked. No. That's awesome. Do you do a combination of sort of field work and on the course training, or there's a lot of people asking at the moment about sort of how we train and how the pros train, so we're just finding that quite interesting. Do you find it's a combination, or? Yeah.
I do. For me personally, I do. I want to, if I have the opportunity to really put in that work at the course, like if I'm close to a course or I can get there early enough to a tournament, I want to get those rounds in to where I know I'm not reaching for my bag and trying to decide, oh shoot, which disc do I want to throw? I want to confidently grab that disc, whether it's the right disc or wrong. I want to be confident with that and know that that's the shot that I want to take. I feel even if it's sometimes the wrong decision, if you're confident with that shot, it still can work out most of the time. And so I do like to dial in a course that I'm going to be playing for a tournament. But other than that, I do want almost just as much time doing field work or putting or training, just to really get not really accuracy, but just repetitions in, as well as, making sure your timing's good. All of that is just super important. I think, as the season goes on, you get so busy traveling and going. I mean, last year was my first true, even though I played for 20 years, tour season.
Mm,
And it's unreal how big, like you really don't have time to blink,
mm,
because you finish up on a Sunday, you travel on a Monday, and you're practicing on Tuesday, for that next event to maybe start on Thursday. So you really lose that time of working out, having
mm.
that extra free time to keep your workouts in. And me personally, aging body, I'd like a day of rest. I think that's also just as important, to let your
Mm,
body recover after you're just, pushing it to its max every week. And so you lose, once the season goes on, that extra little time for field work. But sometimes it's really what you have to do to figure out what's going on the course.
yeah.
So if there is a problem, that you're struggling with during a tournament, sometimes that needs to get right back out to some kind of field, and figure out what's going on before you can get to that next event.
Yeah. I've actually just a quick question on that. I mentioning that you sort of went on tour properly last year. I've seen a couple of pros sort of announce recently. One name comes to mind, Christina Jennings, that was talking pretty openly about like burnout, and how the tour, she sort of felt burnt out after that. You kind of said a few things there that going on the tour kind of affects your routine. Was that something that you sort of began to feel a little bit last year? Is that something maybe focusing on this year you might try and sort of hopefully not go into burnout or anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really think it was a burnout for me. I see where Christine's coming from, because
Mhm.
I also single mom, working
Yeah.
career, but for the first time I did step back from that career. So
Mhm.
until last year, I did juggle both. To me, I don't know how I did it. Now that I'm only doing one, I don't know how
Super
I
mum.
had the time to do all of that.
Mm,
But to me, back then, when I was doing a job and golf, it kept me in check, like
mhm.
it took the pressure off of, you have to cash, this is your paycheck. I didn't
Yeah.
have that pressure as much, because I did have a paycheck back home with my full-time job and career. So I think some of that helped, and you weren't always thinking about golf or anything else. Like it kind of gave you a break mentally to step away from the game. So to me, working and golfing helps kind of keep me in balance. It is obviously exhausting, but literally just being on tour, I think, to me personally, was more exhausting, because I
Mm,
never left. When I was doing both, I got to come home, kind of do a little check, and I wasn't doing probably, that week after week after week.
mm,
I was still played, a lot, sometimes 25, 30 tournaments a year, but I was always coming back home. So
mm,
I think there's a big difference from coming back home and just literally living on the road.
mm,
That mental break is super important. And definitely not speaking for Christine at all,
mm,
but she was trying to still golf. She was starting a career of her own, doing disc golf pro tour, commentary, stuff like that. So,
mm.
I think when you have too many fires burning, it'll definitely burn up quick. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of was probably more where she was going from, but
Yeah.
definitely the tour life is exhausting and nonstop for sure.
Yeah. No, it's just I didn't mean to pick her out. It's just one of the
No.
things I saw recently. But
Hmm.
yeah, it is interesting to see how the times are kind of changing a little bit, and that
Yes.
people can, it's becoming more viable for someone to focus on just one area, like commentating on disc golf. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
people are able to do that sort of full time now. So,
Well,
you know,
even just
yeah.
being able to golf full time,
Yeah.
that this is a full time career,
Yeah.
and it finally got to that point to me where before, the last few years, the money really wasn't there.
Mm.
I could make more money just going and helping my patients every day. That's a lot less stressful. It's a lot less travel,
Yep.
and so a lot easier money. I didn't have to fight for that money. And so it's now getting to the point where we can go out there and play disc golf, and that money is there to where it's as much as, or close to a career, I
Yeah.
would say, as a full-time job. And so it's super cool that the sport has grown to that point to where
Mm.
we can have this as a full-time job. I'm not sure you guys have as many tournaments over there that can be a thing yet.
Not quite. It's a bit of a hotly debated topic at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Mm-hmm.
just about some of the the pros actually playing for cash.
Right.
So we are quite a few steps behind you, but
Right.
hopefully the future is bright. You guys are leading the way. I always want to see well, all the money that I've ever made at disc golf goes straight back into me playing more disc
Mm-hmm.
golf. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that can keep building and building and building.
It
Yeah,
definitely seems like we all kind of follow the same path. So I do feel like eventually, however many years it is behind, a couple, 2, 3, 5 years behind. I hope that you guys can get to this level as well. And it's not that everyone can, get to that elite money where this is a full-time career,
yeah,
but at least if it's something that you can get out and enjoy for a couple of years and then, have something else to fall back on. And that's kind of where I'm at because I know I only have a few years left to really, really push these incredible FPO players, to really hang in there.
yeah,
And so I will continue to play Masters golf for who knows how long, as long as I can.
yeah.
But I really wanted to give it everything I have for the last few years to really try to compete and battle in FPO. And then I can relax and have a great time in Masters golf and go back to work full time and enjoy looking back to where golf will go back to like a vacation and fun versus, this is work.
Yeah,
And it is. And that's what people don't understand is, you put in 7 days of work out there at a huge event. And if you don't cash, you work for free all week. And
yeah,
so that's a lot of pressure and, you know, things that people really think, oh, I just want to go on tour. It's going to be so fun.
yeah,
There's a lot to it that
yeah,
some people I don't think really know or understand truly until they really get out there. So,
yeah. Yeah, it is quite interesting. We are starting to see a couple of Aussie players do a bit more traveling and get over to Europe and the US. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe in the next couple of years you'll see a few more Aussies on tour. That'd be pretty cool.
hopefully,
Yeah,
yes.
unreal. So just quickly, like last year, I just wanted to say congratulations because there was a couple of pretty awesome titles that you got. First in the FP40 at the USWDGC. Was that probably the highlight for the year, or there was second at Worlds as well? That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a good comeback at Worlds because I was on the chase card.
yeah,
And
right.
so, yeah, I wasn't playing my best. I had two injuries last year that I claim that they're not my fault. Like I didn't really do anything to really get injured. One was a bad adjustment by a chiropractor that got me down with my back for a few months. And then the other was I really honestly, now that I look back at it, there was quite a few people sick. I have, had the vaccine. I've had COVID multiple times with working with my patients.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like I possibly got COVID. And my pec tear was from trying to throw when my muscles and the blood oxygen level wasn't really strong enough. And it caused some tears in my pec. And so fighting through both of those, I think overall looking back, yes, clearly winning a major was incredible. Um, it wasn't this wow moment like the first major when I had to throw in that putt in the playoff. So that
Yes,
I guess
epic.
it didn't
Yeah,
have that sparkle that the first major did. But I
yeah,
think a couple other like just overall achievements I was proud of is I only didn't cash in one event, and
yeah.
that was when my shoulder was, killing me. I think I um maybe had like a few more little microfiber tears as I was playing, like every, towards
Mm,
the end of every round, it just really not very comfortable. So that was my only non-cash of the year was at MVP. Other than that, I cashed at every event
yeah,
through the injuries. And then I loved getting my ace on hole one at Winthorpe. That was
yeah. Wow, that's cool.
that was a
Yeah,
super cool moment for me. But yeah, there was quite a few that I was still pretty proud of,
Yeah.
and that coming back to battle Own is just like the top incredible competitor, and she had one of the most absolute amazing. It has to be her biggest year as
Mm.
an FPO player as well. I think her rating is now like the third highest in the world,
Yeah.
and so battling her, here we are, a couple 40-year-olds, and playing at some pretty elite level. And we
Yeah.
had, several other jump up there with us. Sarah Hokum was playing with us last year, Holly Finley. So,
Yeah.
Stephanie Vincent from Texas. Like, we have some really
Yeah.
incredible FPO 40 players. And so it's going to be just as fun battling in that division as it
100%.
is in FPO. So
There's actually a few the MP40 in Australia is been very small, but there's a few guys just kind of on the tip of that we're trying to kind of give that little push to come back in, and I think they're going to have a lot of fun with it, but
Awesome.
also be super competitive. So that's cool. It's
Yeah,
cool that you guys can do that. Yeah,
it's hard to pick which tournament you want to play open and which one you want to play masters, but it is also fun that we have that opportunity to do both.
yeah.
So
how do you pick? How do you choose?
this year is hard. I just finally kind of went with it on my schedule and put it out there, but I was given the invite for Champions Cup, our first major here, because of winning the Australia Open. So that was my invite in. And I sadly it was hard to do, but I turned it down and I picked to go play the Masters Cup up in Santa Cruz, California at De La.
Awesome.
It's the reunion tour. So it's the old people coming out and having a good time. And I chose that because I do not want to skip that tournament. It's one that's very, big in my heart. I have friends out there and I love the course, and I just love visiting out at Santa Cruz. And
Santa Cruz
so
is awesome.
yeah, it's incredible. So the same weekend that Open is playing is the same weekend here as our A Tour, which is the Tree Bash up in Flagstaff, which is where our Masters World Championship will be.
Oh, cool.
And so I wanted to not miss that tournament because I wanted that good practice for Worlds. So that was kind of where I went back and forth and weighed in. So you hate skipping a major, but I went with a couple that I think will be great practice and mentally, just some fun, a little break, not maybe quite as much pressure as if it would be clearly playing for a major.
Yeah.
So I think those breaks good mentally are helpful to carry on throughout the year.
Yeah. It sounds like a heap of fun.
Yeah.
I have been able to play De La before, and yeah, I would choose that over lots of different things.
Yes, it's a fun course. It's just one of those that you step up and it just is special. It just has that vibe and years of history there that just gives you that feeling. So
yeah, I've been watching it online for years and years, and then get to play it. It's very surreal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned just before that a little bit, you did come out to the Australian champs
Yes.
at the end of the year. Now, you have been to Australia quite a few times, being the Aussie Open in 2015, 2017, and then back in 22. Probably quite a big change in the scene, would you say, from those?
Absolutely. I mean, Perth was so hot when we were there both times. that course was so dry and such a huge, course, keeping those drives between the ropes, through the big elevation, and it was absolutely beautiful course over there, but definitely a totally different course and feel there on the East Coast. And so that was really fun to see both sides, and I really hope and look forward to coming back. And I kind of look at it like I hope that it's always kind of at the end of the year, so it can be my personal gift to myself, like end of the year vacation, come out and see all of you guys, which I love so much. And so I'm looking forward, hopefully coming back to Tasmania.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting, actually. Point Mina, the course that we're playing, is absolutely stunning, and Hobart's a really, really, really fun town. So yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
cool to get you back. That's for sure.
But they
Yeah.
haven't set the dates yet. Is that correct?
Correct. Not yet.
Okay.
It will definitely
Okay.
be in November. But
Okay.
the dates haven't been formally set just yet. They
Okay.
are looking at doing, because their sport has grown so much. It's going to be across 2 weekends, so they'll have
Oh,
like a
wow.
an amateur and then a pro,
Hmm.
which would be really exciting actually. So yeah, we'll see, but we'll hopefully get it out there and be able to get some pros over, which is awesome.
Yes.
Um, so one thing on the pod that we try to push as well is growing and supporting female disc golf. So question that I would love to ask you is, do you have any advice for us? All the TDs and stuff growing, trying to grow the sport. What have you sort of seen that works best? To help grow the sport for women and not just being the FPO, because it's actually quite. There has been some few more people come into the FPO this year and last year, but we're seeing more at that sort of rec and up sort of levels. So yeah, if you've got any advice, Jen, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's definitely where it has to start, and we definitely have went through the same struggle for years and years and years. And I can remember back, when I first started playing, the TDs would personally call me and say, what do we need to do to get more women? Because there was just a couple of us in the state of Oklahoma that played.
Mhm.
And so we all kind of went through that. And I always kind of went back to like, it's the women. Like we need to get other women out there. Um, I don't I haven't seen anything else that really works the same. We've all had those, like fun ideas, like, for women, it's harder maybe if they have kids. So we're like, oh, if we had free daycare or,
Mhm.
we threw around all those ideas, or making the entry fees, cheaper. But I kind of went back to like, we want to compete just as much as the men,
Mhm.
and so like when you get to that higher level, I don't think we want like I don't think giving discounts and stuff like that draws us in as much because we actually are competitive.
Mhm.
So I think it's just women actually working together and encouraging other women to get out there is where we have to get back to, because it's not, I don't think, as much as what the TDs can do, prize packs or things like that, that's going to draw us in.
Mhm.
I really just think it's the encouragement from other women.
Yeah,
And
cool.
you see girlfriends or wives or whatever on the courses all the time
Mhm.
with, their men, but it was always that hard gap to get them to convince to play a tournament.
Mhm.
So like you would see them out there, but you get to a tournament, there'd be no one there, and you're like, ah. And so maybe a few fun events
Mhm.
to show them that it's not scary. You're not the only one who's brand new.
Mhm.
Something that kind of breaks the ice to show them that this is fun, and get that addiction,
Yeah.
kind of going. So,
Yeah. We've seen some partners come out to like we've been doing a PDJ league.
mhm.
And we have seen a couple of partners come out, but then come back because they just enjoyed being in the environment. So hopefully that's a little bit of start. We have seen some
Absolutely.
women only leagues as well. Some of the clubs are doing that. So
Yep.
yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
keep growing.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. And just the fact that the sport is growing itself. And so just the growth of the sport is really, really helping that, from all ages, just people wanting to do something active outside, seeing this new sport, seeing baskets in the park. It's a cheap sport to get going and be active. And so I think just the fact that people are we're looking for something to do during COVID and things like that, to be
Mm,
outside, really, really did help us
mm,
get our numbers up very quickly.
yeah. Okay, so I did message you before, just to put out there about a disc golf travel story. It is something that we've been doing on each episode. If we've had something funny, so a bit of a horror story, or something weird that's happened, because everyone seems to have a couple sort of locked away. So,
Yeah.
Jennifer Allen, what kind of story do you have to share with
Well, yeah,
us?
I kind of struggled at first. I was like, I didn't really have anything major happen last year, but then the first one that did pop into my head was when I did come over there for the Australian championships. on my way back, I just happened to check my emails, not on the way back. So like Sunday night or whenever the tournament was over and we were going to fly out the next day. Just happened to check my emails and it was like 2 a.m. and it was like, your flight has been canceled. I was like, so I got, and we had stayed up having a good time until probably 2 a.m. And so then I couldn't go to sleep because I was trying up all night to try to get through to customer service to rebook my flights, to catch my connecting and all of that. And so unfortunately for JB, I did get a new flight booked, but I had to wake him so early to see if he would take me to the airport early. And so it all worked out. We got there. They did absolutely destroy my suitcase to where I literally just threw it straight into the trash can when I got here. So thank you, Qantas, for canceling my flight and destroying my bag.
Okay, that's a decent horror story.
Yeah, but I made it home, so it all worked out.
Do you actually when you travel, do you put any discs in your bag or do you carry all your discs on the plane and carry on? What do you do?
So I carry my bag with all my important ones, but then I definitely carry usually a box of backups that.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like I have like this huge suitcase or like 2 suitcases, but one suitcase is usually disc and shoes.
Yeah, right.
And it's really not that many clothes. Yeah. It's just all the other stuff. So flying is hard. It's so hard to travel to big events, and especially like when you're going for multiple events, like you're flying out for say 3 or 4 events, the first event may be really super hot and humid, and then the next one's rainy, and then the next one may be freezing cold. And so it's like, how am I supposed to get all 4 seasons in one suitcase?
You probably won't get all 4 seasons in where you've traveled in Perth and Queensland, but if you came down to Melbourne, you might even get 4 seasons in one day. So wow. super tricky. But
good to know.
Awesome. Yeah. One question I did have about pre-tournament prep. You've kind of said how you come out and do some practice rounds and stuff like. Do you have a sweet spot on how many practice rounds you try and do before an event? Like, is it
as many as possible?
As many as possible. All right.
I feel like I can never be, too prepared.
Sure.
So I would say we don't really get, once you're on the road, you don't get that many opportunities more than just a couple of times. So I would love to at least play them twice.
Okay.
I'll go with that. But if I can squeeze in more, I will.
Yeah, cool. I mean, there's not anyone sort of working, able to play disc golf full time in Australia. So we've all got jobs, but we're sort of trying to get out there maybe 1 day, 2 days early for a tournament, depending on which tournament it is. Right. Yeah. Try and do like,
and it depends if you know the course, if it's a course, and you've played before, maybe not as important, but on those new courses, definitely a couple of rounds to the first round, you kind of pick what I want to do. Second round, that's a confirmation of what I want to do. And then hopefully the third round, it works out.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. All right, Jim. Well, cannot thank you enough for coming onto the Tee Off and sharing some of your insights into disc golf. Really hope 23 goes well for you and injury free.
Yes.
Yes. For all this. But and good luck at all the events. And hopefully we can see you back in Oz at the end of the year.
I sure hope so. Vacation, fun time, golf, whatever. I hope to, I say it every time, I want to stay longer, like it's never long enough. It is hard, staying away for too long from my kids, but definitely hope that we can, if I get back over there, keep squeezing in 1 or 2 extra days so that we can all enjoy your beautiful country.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Hopefully we can make it work, and see you then. Thanks for coming.
Right. Thank you.
So that's the end of the episode. Thanks for listening. I don't know why you're still here. We have to go see our families. seriously, just go play disc golf.